the server, right? So I'll say if we admin with some this, right, right, and I will say East US, right, and I will say okay. Please remember, whenever you are going to deploy, whenever you are going to provision a server and database using this PaaS service, right, can you control the version of a SQL server? Do you know which version of a SQL server will be get installed? Of course, the latest version will be get installed, right? But that latest version, which exact version of SQL server will be get provisioned, you can come to know, right? But whenever you are creating a virtual machine with SQL image, right? You can say I want a virtual machine with SQL image as SQL Server 2016 or SQL Server 2012 R2 and so on, right? So if you want a specific version of a SQL Server that need to be installed, right? Then definitely I will go with a virtual machine with SQL as an image. But if I'm not concerned with a SQL Server version, right? Simply I just want to create a database onto the cloud, right? Then at that time I can go with SQL database service, which is a platform as a service. Another difference is if you are creating the virtual machine with SQL as an image, right? You will get a SQL Server agent, right? So what is the job of an SQL Server agent? To to perform the automation, to create a job, to let's say every day I want to take a backup of my database and so on, right? So that kind of administrative jobs you can schedule with the help of SQL Server agent, right? That feature you will get when you will install VM with SQL Server image, that you will not get in your SQL database, right? So specifically the main difference lies here. If I want a specific version of a SQL Server where on a VM where I want to install some patches task on that SQL Server, probably you can go with VM with SQL Server, right, as an image. Otherwise, you can just go with this SQL database, right, to create a database and you can perform all the operations, right, as like what you are doing with the normal on-premise database, right? So I hope this is clear. This is clear to you, right? Okay. So now, yeah. So now, the next is. Can we create something similar as clusters, right? So you can create a pool of a SQL database, right? So what is SQL database pool? Where multiple databases can share the same resource, can share the common resources, right? So you can create a pool of a SQL database. That is possible. Okay. Now, apart from SQL database, the next service is Azure Synapse. Okay, so apart from SQL database, what are the other databases supported by the Azure? So you have Azure database for MariaDB. We have Azure databases for PostgreSQL, as well as we have Azure databases for MySQL. Okay. Then we have one service called as a Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so this service was previously known as SQL Data Warehouse. Okay, so if you have a huge volume of a data, maybe historical data, and if you want to perform the analysis on a huge volume of a data, right? Let's say you want to apply some machine learning algorithms, right? You want to apply some mathematical algorithms on that data for the analysis, and then let's say you want to send that data to Power BI for report generation, then in that case you can go with Azure Synapse Analytics, right? So Azure Synapse Analytics is one of the service, right, which can handle a big data, right? Maybe which is in a big data, right? Using massively parallel computing platform, right? And you can so the advantage of Synapse Analytics is it is having a built-in mathematical algorithms, right? So you can use it to perform the analysis on the data, right? So this service was previously known as a SQL data warehouse. Okay. So these are the some options available in your Azure Azure SQL. These are the some options available under database category. How to handle Oracle database onto the cloud? So directly there is no service called as a Oracle database, right? So you can go with a virtual machine with Oracle image, right? So there is a Oracle Linux VM image is present, and then you can handle the Oracle database. Uh, then the next service which comes under